So hello and welcome to the Ecosystem Playbook Catalyst Project demo Q&A session. We do this every week on Wednesday at the same time, 1600 CET. Every week we bring, last week we were dealing with the overall playbook demo. And from this week on, every week on Wednesday, we're bringing a showcase, which is dealing with a case study. So we try to walk you through an ecosystem using the playbook as a template for cutting down on the details on how you would actually go through an ecosystem and use the playbook to generate a lot of data and then hopefully use it within your partner ecosystem or partners and within CSPs to detail that ecosystem. Now, ever since we started doing this project, there's been an amazing number of, we've started like seeing these things around us. So there's a lot of ecosystems out there. People don't realize how many ecosystems CSPs are already part of. In the last few years, a lot of them have sprung up. And when we went into this exercise, there was a list of projects that we had to choose from. And Lejla obviously picked this one. There's others that are going to follow. If you want any more details on the project, please head on to the showcase and you'll find a lot of content there. And of course, you can join our community on LinkedIn at the Ecosystem Design Catalyst group page, where you can come in and get a lot of the content, both from the Catalyst project. The video of this presentation will also be posted there for anyone who's interested in it. So Lejla, can you take over from here and let's go?
Thank you, Ehtisham. So as Ehtisham mentioned, so we decided to pick a couple of existing ecosystems and show how the ecosystem playbook can be used and those guidelines and steps that we propose within the existing ecosystem, meaning that it could be samely used in the same manner for some future ecosystem. So the first one is selected case ecosystem is Deutsche Telekom smart home platform that was founded in 2011. Actually, it is available since 2013 in German market. So its main target was to establish vendor-neutral solution that could enable users to combine different brands of smart home solution and make home automation possible for them. The members of the are actually growing every day, and we could say that currently network consists around more than 120 member companies who are from different industries such as energy, electrical house devices, security, telecommunication, etc. Deutsche Telekom didn't stop only in Germany. They actually expanded the international footprint into the Greece, then in Norway, and then adding some other companies like Slovakia, Netherlands, Austria, and Italy. Okay, you can move to the next slide. Great. So the Cubicon platform, how they call it, covers many use cases. Already existing use cases, you can pick from some of these, as you can see in this photo. They can be grouped in, I don't know, safety, comfort, I don't know, light categories, cleaning stuff, and things like that. So each of these use cases cover a lot of devices that could be connected to one platform. What is the beauty of this one? It means that the core of the platform is actually Cubicon home base, which brings together all the smart devices and enables user to control them by using smartphone application. So user can define based on the existing use cases, additional use cases, add additional rules, control and monitor it from anywhere. Okay. What is also interesting in this implementation is that the data, complete data is stored on the Deutsche Telekom servers, and it can be only accessed by the users. Of course, it can be accessed also by the call center or some Deutsche Telekom staff in case they do some need those data for doing some troubleshooting. So it is the biggest advantage of this platform is they really take care of the security and privacy of the users and the data that is actually being stored.
So it's essentially very similar to the smart home ecosystems that you can use with, let's say, Google Home, or you would have the Amazon Echo and the other ecosystems where you have lots of different devices connecting to one base.
Mm-hmm.
They also have this one base, right? But it's secure, right? So
it is secure and kind of reliable to take it from someone as like a Deutsche Telekom in terms of user safety, and when they think about the security and any kind of support they need to get, they are getting it actually from one place, which is the beauty of it.
okay.
Okay, so of course it's possible to order it through the existing channels for the current T-Com Magenta users. But the challenge is actually how to expand it more to more partners, to more open ecosystems, to have a more open platform for anyone that could not benefit, that could do some additional work on it, and then it could be actually used widely. So even though the platform exists since 2013, actually the growth hasn't been recorded in the early ages, as it is actually coming better and improved in the latest ages. I mean, in the couple of last years. Okay, so having done this kind of short intro about the ecosystem and what is it currently, how we actually map the ecosystem playbook steps into this one. So if you look into our ecosystem playbook guideline, you're going to see that the first step is to identify the stakeholders, meaning we need to identify all the players and the relationship between them. The roles are divided into three roles that you recognize. Orchestrator, in this case, is Deutsche Telekom Telekom that provides a smart home platform for consumers, taking B2B2X approach to unify brands into under one umbrella. To do so, they need different enablers. So the recognized enablers are branded partners, white label devices, providers, and providers, which we call service providers, who are providing the security installation services. Of course, everything, the actor is a user to whom it is actually the platform is provided. In this case, those are the existing Magenta Home customers who can access service from online platform. So once we identify each of these, we can see that how they are related. So all of those enablers are actually connected to the orchestrator, who is the T-Com, but the user has the privilege and to order it from one place, actually from T-Com as an existing customer, and to get support in case of any problem. That's why. Mm-hmm.
So Lejla, to get it, to understand it, right? So all of these partners in the ecosystem are actually going through the Cubicon platform and enabling their devices and their platforms through that platform. And then the T-Com e-commerce experience allows you to not only order the service at home, but also subsequently order all the devices at whenever you're ready at whatever kind of, just like an e-commerce experience, you're able to bring these, get these, and if you need support, you can get the support services, right?
You get the support, yes. I mean, you could not even, if you are kind of some kind of advanced customer user, you might get all of these, let's say, solution that the branded solution are providing or something else. But you, with these possible combined use cases, could get really good matching to your needs. And of course, if you are some advanced user, you can do installation by yourselves, but you can also order from T-Com to do installation for you. Okay, so that was actually the first step that actually follows the ecosystem playbook. But we also need to identify and recognize the constraints. So in this case, these are the couple of those. So of course, there are a lot of competitors out there. Then it is maybe not interesting for the branded providers to actually even integrate into something like that, because already they are branded and they are having the good sales and marketing. That's fine. And in terms of actually adding new partners, it is both to take care of software and hardware integration in this case. The other constraint is actually that only Magenta user customers can use the service. It is not open to others. That's due to the regulatory. The data is also maintained inside these territories. And it is kind of something that if they are going more internationally or something like that, that they could actually think about more open ecosystem in terms of partner onboarding and also kind of acquiring the customers.
Okay.
Okay. So of course, yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah, this is the one. So we could say that this ecosystem is more closed and open still. It is clustered. It is not diverse because it's clustered. We have these white label clusters. We have branded clusters, security and install clusters. So other industry could be added. It could be more diverse. It is monopolistic. We still have a couple of categories of suppliers that are there. In terms of loose and moderate, we said it's moderate. So if it's a loose, then it means it's more open to other partners, to other developers, to some open architecture way.
Just to understand, Lejla, one of the challenges that the reason that only the Magenta customers can use this service is maybe it's because the Wi-Fi device is very tightly integrated with the home base, or is it the regulatory environment?
I think it's both, actual regulatory and they pay attention to security and privacy of data, so they can that's one key advantage for the users, not to actually think about that their data should be anywhere. So probably that's why they picked up the Magenta user. So even from the connectivity perspective, I believe it's much easier.
Okay, so excuse me, I think that the step 3 in the first phase of visualization of the ecosystem, I think this is more relevant to when people watching, and if you're a CSP or a partner and you have an interest in using the home automation ecosystem or a home this ecosystem for your market, I think one of the places in the playbook for you to really get going with the teams internally and with the partners is to start asking the right questions based on some of the input that Lejla just provided, and come up with a differentiating opportunity within your market, which is more tightly aligned with your market. So we're going to skip over this section and go straight to the opportunity board, Lejla.
Yes, for sure. But anyway, if you are actually using the ecosystem playbook and you are doing the analysis and actually picking the smart home platform, I think it's also good advice to see, of course, you're going to see the existing one. We really picked one that is actually done by CSP, because we wanted to show to CSP what they need to think about, what they need to analyze. As you said, why is it good for me? Who going to benefit? What are the possible risks? So what, even if I'm having the same challenge as the DT is having currently, what can I overcome some, or should I do something differently? But anyway, those are the first steps that you need to analyze, and then it is definitely good for the teamwork to actually sit together and then kind of fill in this chapter that we currently skip, because we are talking about the existing platform. But let us move to the opportunities, modeling opportunities as the next step. So what you're currently seeing is opportunity canvas, which is filled in with the following data: value how we come to this one is actually that we do step by step of each of these. We first go into the value propositions, meaning identifying the value proposition for each of the participants. So as you know, our participant as orchestrator is a TCOM who is actually moving into the digital ecosystem with this at the different vertical in order to improve retention and increase account ARPU. Other participants are branded providers such as Siemens, Philips, Samsung. For them, is also there is a value in increasing the revenues from the current segments. White label partners, for them, it's more predictable sales and growth, and they are reducing time into the marketing and sales currently. And if you go, we are having the service providers, and then the last one is customers. Those are the identified as residential consumers who are actually happy to have some cool automation provided by some reliable internet brand. So this is something that the recognized value proposition for each of the participants. Let us move on to the.
At some point, you like you're going to be looking at the tightness of the value proposition in terms of whether everybody is getting the best out of the ecosystem, right?
Yes. That is important to see, because if, for example, the branded providers are not so happy, then, and if you don't have them into that smart home automation, then it's a problem actually, because people like to buy stuff from those branded providers of devices.
Great.
The next one is what is this one? Acquisition is actually, this is to identify the method used that Cubicom is using to acquire customers. Their sales channels, the current that can be described as they are using currently: website, emails, social media, inbound marketing, and direct sales. So here you can see a couple of acquisition loops. And from this one, we identify those that are matching the Cubicom smart home platform acquisition model. Okay. So the first one that we picked.
Which ones did you select?
We select the personal viral loop. It means, okay, I'm using the service, I'm loving it, I'm continue to use that one. I'm going to tell others how happy I am. Okay. So that's the first one. The second one is social viral loop, because if you are using and like it, then you're gonna also promote it to your friends.
Okay.
Of course, Magenta Telecom is actually also having some advertising that are paid. So that's why we picked paid ads loop and the paid sales loop through the sales representative.
Okay.
So that's actually even the order how we picked those.
Okay.
Okay. After picking and selecting the acquisition loops, we are moving to the steps or deciding on how the Cubicom could monetize from this platform. So this is actually something that it's not easy. It's not easy to find the appropriate information. I mean, about the current implementation. We could see that some of the services could be just there is no subscription fee. Even though if there is subscription fee, it is not such a big fee. So probably the retention is really important for them, and also the partnering with the other providers. What we pick here is actually pay as you go. So new user signs up, pays upfront or pays nothing, and then start using service by paying additional. And another one is pay subscription, which is, if I said, even the subscription they're paying, it's really kind of like, I don't know, 4 to 5 euros per some. It's a small subscription, but actually the customers are keeping there and they are staying with them.
So just to, I mean, I noticed that in the smart home ecosystem, where a CSP may not be involved, you rarely see a monthly
Yes.
a paid subscription model, and I think CSPs are one of the successes has been to bring a subscription model to home automation as the CSP got.
Even if it's a small, it is actually at some kind of subscription fee. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so after picking up the acquisition monetization model, we could actually move to the retention model. So Deutsche Telekom is actually working hard to increase the number of partners, actually the number of devices, number of services that are supported in order to actually increase the customer satisfaction. So in that case, in this one, we pick the paid retention loop. It means the new user signs up, uses the service, it sees the benefits from those and decide to stay. If they decided to leave, they could either be offered by some additional services or some optimization of the services or some discounts to stay for longer.
Yeah.
Even though we did think about this integrated retention loop, meaning that if you use the service, then you integrate with the other services because they are doing the introduction of new services, frequently. And it's also some kind of retention policy that is applied to this one as well.
So the ideal thing is that you would want a better retention play than just simply offering discounts to people. There needs to be some sort of
but that is,
barrier
yes,
to exit.
that is kind of the the ordinary retention loop.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Okay.
so just to the before we go, in terms of the churn, is this a very sticky service? Do people usually stay when they sign up for this service? Does it have less churn, let's say, than a normal connection?
Once they move to this one, if they have something on their own, once they decided to move on to this one, they're gonna stick to it. Because right. it's a comfort, and then you're seeing the benefit that they're gonna stay. Sometimes it's more effort done into getting them to move to something that they have on their own to this platform. But when they have the platform in the use cases, they're gonna stick to it.
Awesome.
Because it's cool.
Do you have one application that groups all features, or you have separate?
It is one. No. This is actually, once they move to the Cubicon platform, they get one application from which they could control all of those devices from one place.
Cool.
And great. That's actually great. And how they actually, the investment they have is actually to be compatible with all. I mean, that the Cubicon platform has to be compatible, those devices, to the Cubicon platform. So that's why they need to have some good reasons for the brands and partners to invest something into adopting and actually adjusting their devices to this platform.
So
from the user perspective, is just convenient.
My question is, what you're seeing here is basically, ideally, you want to be up in the left quadrant, top quadrant. You want to be a primary beneficiary in this ecosystem, and you've got 5 major stakeholder groups mentioned here, and some of them are not in the top left. So walk us through the ones who are not in the top left. Why would you think that they're not in the top left? If you want, I can zoom in, but I was kind of keeping it for you too.
Actually, in the top left, we see Deutsche Telekom, we see white label partners, because they are less investing into their sales and marketing, and they are kind of incorporated into this one. Service providers, as providing the installation service and security services, are a very good fit into this one. When we are talking about the residential consumers, which are currently positioned in this left top corner, we could say they are lazy to switch to something. For example, they're having some cool devices, and that cool device is currently not supported by Cubicon. They prefer to stay on their own. But for some other consumers who are not so advanced, who didn't even invest into any kind of smart home devices, this is a really good start. if they start using it even for the, I don't know, safety reasons, just for the safety reason, or for maybe some savings of the heatings or something like that, they're gonna be the loyal one, and they're gonna stay, and they could only use more and more.
So you feel that so maybe the slightly better value proposition can bring more customers into the foray.
Yes.
Okay.
What I also noticed with Cubicom that they, I think 2 years ago, they introduced and incorporated some devices, cheaper devices, into the complete platform, which actually brought them more consumers.
More value
You
to,
know, it is more value because those are the cheaper devices, providing them the good use cases. So that's also depending on the range. You know, for the same use cases, you could sell you know, very expensive devices, but it's not for everyone. So you need to have even some mid-value devices as well, which are still reliable.
okay.
Okay, so maybe we could go back to the Canva. Okay, so actually, when we do the exercise, when we go through all 4 steps, we are coming to this one. So this is the combination of the opportunity canvas is showing the value proposition, acquisition, retention, and monetization.
So this is the last
Okay,
step in the model opportunity, right? So you're now
this
finished
is
with
the
that
last
phase,
step. Yes,
right? Okay.
yes.
Okay, so now essentially what you've done is you visualize the ecosystem in the first phase, then you did all the analysis on various aspects of, particularly from a growth perspective, of what it takes to have this ecosystem running in any market, and what it takes for all the players to participate, and hence you get the opportunity canvas with all the details in it. So what's next? Like, where do we go?
Next is really interesting. Next is something really good. So once all these value streams in opportunity canvas are recognized, as you could see, this is the step 7. So here we picked up, for example, one loop. So for each loop that we selected in opportunity canvas, we identified the value stages and described the tasks of each of the participants, of each stakeholder, that they should perform to that particular value stage. You're going to see that through the examples. Once we identify the task for each of the stakeholders, for each of the value stages, we can group them into the business capabilities. Additionally, we are preparing and mapping the feature stories that combines the capabilities and tasks. For example, meaning me as a user would like to order smart home devices from so on and so on. So in these steps 7, 8, and 9, as 9 is the final one, the target is to identify capabilities that are needed for such ecosystem. In order to do that, by doing these previously explained steps, we are also using the TM Forum asset, actually the TAM map, which provides us with the capabilities that could be mapped in these steps. At the end, we are actually coming to the needed capability applications for the future ecosystem that we are kind of modeling. So Ehtisham, I think it will be good if you, for each of these steps, show the samples.
Okay,
for
great.
7, 8, and 9. Yes.
Great. So I'll start with where you mentioned in step 7 that you take a loop, a growth loop, and as you in detail mention all the growth loops that you chose for the project, from acquisition, retention, and monetization. And you took the steps which you see at the top of like new user signs up is a step in the growth loop. And then what you in a top-down exercise end up doing is to capture journeys, to capture various phases of that particular stage that are relevant to the ecosystem, successful execution, and then map to it a top-down contribution of all the stakeholders in
Please just zoom it out a little bit to actually so that it can be seen. Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, for example, you would want to see how an orchestrator and enablers and customers actually come together to achieve something, to perform something, a concrete sort of a contextual engagement together. And we group this at the top of each vertical stack that you see here in terms of capabilities. So this is a very visual and collaborative exercise where we collect our capabilities not on some sort of a rhetoric or just getting together and labeling something with the accidental matches. You're stacking a top-down exercise and you're sort of doing the capability mapping to the entire objective task and the jobs that are done. Now, in the step 8 that you mentioned, Lejla, you were talking about the bottom-up map to it, and the bottom-up map actually consists of the feature and user stories that actually align to those capabilities that we did in the top-down. And so, for example, in these black stickies, you would see a role play, a user story, which is actually explaining what the features that are required as a customer or as a CSP or as a CSP accounting team or as whoever is part of the ecosystem, all players. The level of detail captured here is very high level. However, you are trying to map the key capabilities with feature stories. And you're also mentioning the enablers, the tools, the TM Forum assets, for example, that you're going to use to map these feature stories, the tools within the enablers within each of the partner organizations that are going to come into play. You're also getting a chance to point those out so that when teams who want to explore these opportunities further can actually take a look at that. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go to Curate FX, which is our official tool for actually for the Catalyst, but we've used a template within Curate FX to actually capture all the data that you just saw. So essentially what we were able to do was to just simply use the tool to start setting up the data, which is the starting point. So all the data you saw so far, Lejla talk about, is captured, and as you can see within this, you have your the loops, you have the stakeholder roles, you have the capability portfolio, and you have the enablers. All of it is captured within within the platform from step 1 to 6. Now, the interest is for step 7, 8, and 9, which is right now where we were just talking about how that mapping is done. So what do we do with all those stickies that we create, right? So we bring them out into these loops that we just created. We then have for each loop, for example, we go in and we create the capabilities that are required for those loops to achieve those capabilities. So for each loop, you have these different stages, and for each stages, all the capabilities that we captured in Curate FX, we bring them here to map to each value stage. And so this helps us create the data set that we captured. And now if you're using this template in any other market, you're able to use this data as a starting point to start seeing how these things how the variances will work and how you can take it and start to build the key capabilities. Now, remember, the best way is to just have a very high level and specific key capabilities instead of getting bogged down with everything. And so from this step onwards, what we then try to do is to take these these loops and the key capabilities that are mapped to them and go to step 8, in which we take then each of these capabilities and start to dig down into the actual feature stories, right? So for example, billing and invoice management, we were able to go down into these individual feature stories that are all then mapped to each of these capabilities in step 8. And we're able to then map these straight out to a funnel to in step 9 to our capability repository, right? So this repository is where we have all of our feature stories within all the capabilities that we captured. We have these then neatly labeled into our portfolio. So now essentially what you've done is not only have you used the playbook to describe an ecosystem, but you have, through collaboration and through design thinking, you've been able to bring in all the features, in this case, about 40 odd features that you need for this ecosystem to work. And with this, you are able to then, you can actually use these to, in a Kanban, to start prioritizing within your organization. You can start elaborating. These are very high level, and you can then use these to start fleshing out the details. Now, the beauty of this is that you are able to actually capture, for example, in this case, marketing tools and CRM are enablers that you will need for this particular feature set. And so when you start looking at the feature set itself, you start thinking about elaborating the details for CRMs or marketing tools. What you can also do is to link them to the capabilities where they're coming from. And in this case, what you can also start to do, the thing that we encourage to do is to then start mapping them to TM Forum assets like business capabilities. You can start doing some mappings to the to things like your flow diagrams and other things. You can also start to do you can do TM Forum assets like frameworks. So there's a whole ton of linking that you can do with this within this platform. So the idea is that this template will then allow you to create linkages to frameworks, to capability maps, to other things. So essentially, this allows you to take this case study using the ecosystem playbook to end up here, which is that a lot of data can be captured from our smart home case study for your markets and then improved upon based on your current conditions and the collaboration of your partners. So that's where we're at.
Yes, I would like to add that these steps that we've shown, I mean, it's a major 9 steps, and you could see that each of these steps are having some sub steps, with the additional analysis. But as Ehtisham said, you're going to be able to collect a lot of data that is really used and could be easily analyzed by different teams through these stages. So when we talk about opportunity canvas, is something that modeling opportunity is something to be, it is kind of a checkpoint internally to see, okay, do we really take into consideration everything? And then later on, when you do the mapping of the recognition of business capabilities and coming to the feature stories, those are also steps that needs to be kind of discussed internally with the teams. Once you have these capabilities structured, you could see and recognize the needed enablers. Probably in your landscape, you might already have some that can be easily improved, but maybe some are totally missing. So you need to also do some prioritization in terms of actually establishing, reaching the future ecosystem that is in your plan. So it is really structured way. The curated case, you have all these information really nicely connected, as well as it connect those information to TM Forum assets. And always you can go back. It's kind of iterative approach. You might go back to the step 3 or 4 and then recognize something that you probably missed. And then depending on these iterations, you're actually improving and improving.
So I just wanted to make the point that it's quite fun. In your case, you had to, together with Omar, you had very little resources, and within that, and not a lot of time, and still able to go through an entire ecosystem and collect a lot of really useful starting point data that anybody can use to start fleshing out the ecosystem. And of course, they can do a great job of going into a lot of these details. So if you're in a capability portfolio and you look at some of the individual portfolios and the linkages, you might have different linkages. You might go to the frameworks and add frameworks and say, I am linking this particular thing to this particular thing. That's great. But this is a great way of just going through these 9 steps, and you don't need a lot of resources. It's fun to bring the partners in and just kind of zero in on what kind of a platform do we need, what kind of the capabilities are going to be required from our partners, and everybody could kind of contribute and use simple tools really to build something that usually would take weeks, if not months, to just go back and forth on spreadsheets and calls and trying to understand things. So I guess this is one of the key takeaways for me, is that how little resources were used by yourself, and to just build a story which is quite comprehensive and dimensional in terms of ecosystems.
Yes, this use case show how kind of easily the ecosystem playbook steps could be used. Of course, if you have the right tools. If you don't know how to structure those data and how to actually present those data, what are the data, why we actually have these data within the loops, how we actually map it later on. So the tool is important as well. I mean, guideline, and this could be taken as one template. Okay, so this is a smart home platform, existing one, that has been shown through the all steps. So if any CSP would like to do some investment into this one, they can use this as a template, which already existing data that we collected and put into this into the tool currently.
Well, that's great. You know, I love being part of this exercise, walking you to interview you for your project. I thought this is I'm very impressed. Well done, and thanks for taking the time out to show everyone.
Thank you.
I'm sure that we will share the video with the audiences, and I would love to. If somebody wanted to reach you, how would they do it? They should go to the Catalyst for asking questions on this, or how can they find you? I think you're showcased on the project and then on LinkedIn. And
probably they could contact us through the Catalyst as a group, because we are receiving the messages. But in any other case, they can always also contact me on my private email for some additional explanation. I will be available.
I think we have Kevin on the call. We have Michael on the call. If there are any comments, fellow project.
Is there any comments? Yes.
You guys, would you like to weigh in on this?
No, I think Lejla, you've done a great job there, and I think what's really important to point out is there's really two things going on here in my mind. One is there was all the work collectively done in terms of the definition of the playbook, but I think the value of the playbook really comes to light when it's been shown in a real world type example, such as this case study. I think it's important to actually, and I think as part of the exercise, it's important to validate what we've done. And I know this is one of several case studies that we've used, but I think by having a real example modeled in there, it becomes a content that people can use and can understand, and also then leverage as part of the work that they need to do themselves. So I think the contribution that we've made as a team, both in terms of the template, is great, but I think adding the additional use cases is very important and a very useful asset. And I just let people know that this case study and several of the others, including the playbook, will also be made available within CurateFX for anybody who wants to use them within there.
Awesome.
Great. Awesome. Great.
Michael?
Any other comments?
I don't really have anything other to say than what Kevin has already said, really. I mean, firstly, well done. I thought it was very good. Really nice walkthrough. Explanations are great. And again, for me, it is actually the use cases that bring the project to life. So it's all very well to work on the framework, but when you see a real life example, and you walk through it and you break the process down and you see it all being put together, then I think it's very good and it's very impressive.
Thank you. Since we do have one of our clients here, Slobodan, and I think he didn't know anything about the Catalyst project. So for your information, Slobodan, you could actually download the ecosystem playbook, which is in the PDF format, and you will be able to hear and see to learn more about these steps and what to follow. But we will be also sharing this video, how to actually use it for any kind of the, let's say, future ecosystem. So in case your organization is planning of expanding in some other line of business or doing more partnership with some different industries, it's also good to know that this is the good guideline to follow.
Great. I'm really impressed how you did it. And just for other guys' information, I mean, my company actually is in marketplace business, and this is a great opportunity to see what to do as a parallel revenue streams or whatever. So it's really great to see how it's done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think, Lejla, one of the other things, you know, is possible, obviously, as well, is to be able to share, we can share the links to this project, read-only link, to anyone. So they don't even have to be a registered user of CurateFX, so that they can get a read-only view of the project.
Oh, that's excellent then.
So it means that, yeah, for this and any other project, and we can share that after, so that you can, we can include it even at Ehtisham and in releases if people want to look at it as well.
I think that will be great, you know, that's definitely great. If someone is actually seeing this video, they will probably would like to
play around with it and look at it themselves. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you.
So thank you very much for doing this. Great presentation. I think we paced it. It was a bit slow on the you know, the tempo, just to make sure that everybody got it. I think the feedback is amazing, and I hope that people will find this useful. I know that our group, all of us, have really put in our best effort to bring this to life, and you've done a great job with this use case. Now we're looking forward to 2 more. They're in the works. TCS is going to do something on the EMS, the emergency medical services using 5G. I'm hoping that to be a great new idea. And then IBM is going to be doing towards the 8th or 9th of November. Look out for a very interesting case study on data monetization in the developing markets using the mobile money ecosystem. Really interesting work that they've done. And so this is just like Kevin mentioned, using the playbook to bring these very interesting ecosystems to life is what we wanted to achieve, and then making that data, albeit the very initial baseline data set, available to people so that they can not only get interested, but both partners and CSPs use this as an icebreaker to start building on top of it. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining in today. Look out for those sessions, and we look forward to hosting you again. Remember, we're here every Wednesday, so there's more events happening other than you know, the regular Wednesday meetings, and we'll be announcing them on our showcase. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Great job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.